Hey, welcome back to our Stupid Reactions. It's I'm Corbin.
I'm Rick.
And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter for more juicy content.
Juicy.
It's so juicy.
You fell, Rick.
It was so juicy, I bowed down to it.
Social distancing, 6 feet.
Not from myself.
Stay away from yourself, Rick.
Oh no, I'm constantly touching myself.
Oh my
Wait, what?
goodness.
Wait,
and
what?
take a roast
That's
on
not
Patreon,
right.
follow our official Twitter account, ring the bell to be part of the notification squad. Bang!
It's bellyacious.
It is. And today, from what day? Something of quarantine. We
Day
are
3, 4 for India, and day 12, 13 for us.
Woo! But yeah, so lots of people asked us to react to this. It's called India imposes the world's biggest coronavirus lockdown, which I believe I heard was the biggest country to ever lock down.
Well, it would make sense. They've got 1 billion. They're like nearly 4 times the size of us.
Yeah. So this is a video about that. And so, I mean, we know, I've heard a bunch about it. And so I'm assuming we'll know a little more, but we'll know what you're going through right now because I don't know if you've seen them all asking. They ask us to drop like 5 videos a day because they're stuck at home. And I'm like, I'm sorry. One, YouTube won't send you out those notifications. So you're not you're not even going to be able to see it if we do. But
India has become the latest and largest country to introduce a nationwide lockdown
I like his
in the
voice.
fight against the coronavirus. Its population of 1.3 billion has been told to stay at home.
Billion.
The country has so far seen about 560 confirmed cases and 11 deaths. And there are fears that infections could spread quickly in densely populated urban areas. Crowds formed at pharmacies and shops shortly before the midnight deadline. Non-essential businesses have been
away from
closed,
people.
most flights and rail services have been stopped, and the busy Bollywood film industry has ground to a halt.
did you see she was
Indian Prime
coughing?
Minister Narendra Modi said without the 21-day lockdown, the country could be set back 21 years. So let's join DW correspondent Nimisha Jaiswal in Delhi. Welcome, Nimisha. Are people abiding by these new restrictions?
Well, Phil, to a large extent, yes. People have not been coming out on the streets as much as they normally would have. The Sunday voluntary curfew was hugely successful with reports of millions staying put. It's not quite as empty on the streets. People are allowed to step out
Mumbai or
to
Delhi.
essential services, but there are police checkpoints across the city that are preventing people who are not either rendering or accessing essential services
horn honking
from stepping out.
That's
However,
insane.
It is also important to think about the fact that there are many amongst the urban poor who are actually trying to get back home. Now, transport services are largely shut down, buses, trains, as well as flights. However, many are still trying to make their way back to their home states because they're daily wage earners and they cannot sustain themselves.
Yes.
They cannot afford life in the city anymore. And we went to find out how exactly these people are managing walking large distances in their efforts to get home even though borders are closed. This is the report.
These people are violating a lockdown. Delhi has closed its borders. No buses, trains or flights can leave.
Oh, the states are locked down.
These migrant workers are determined to get home. Many earn just a daily wage. And with businesses shut, they cannot afford life in the city anymore. With public transport reduced, Devraj has walked many kilometers with his family, putting them at risk of exposure. He's scared, but he says he has no option.
They aren't letting me work. That's the problem. I have young children. They're hungry. Who do I ask for help? We've been struggling for 4 days.
The Delhi government has announced some relief measures for the poor. But these workers don't feel reassured.
I can wait to find out if the government will give me money, but how am I supposed to eat until then? And what if they don't?
Oh, dang.
Away from the bus stop, the city lies deserted. Those who can afford to are staying home. Checkpoints like this one have been established across the city. The police is ensuring that only those who are rendering essential services are allowed to be out. The government has also said that violators of the lockdown can face legal action. Grocery stores remain open. Some are only allowing a limited number of shoppers in. This one says masks are necessary, as is sanitizing your hands before entering. India has been paralyzed by these measures, but health experts are throwing their weight behind the lockdown.
If India can fight this together for 2 weeks, we definitely would have prevented the curve from going up and made it flat. All that we need to do is to prevent the curve from going the Italy way. Because if that happens in India, the results will be much worse than what happened in Italy.
The Indian Prime Minister has appealed to migrant workers to stay put and avoid infecting their families back home. But for many, that risk is far more distant than being trapped away from home during this lockdown.
Nimisha, the poor always suffer worst in these crises. Tell us more about how the government is trying to help these migrant workers.
Well, Phil, the government has formed an economic task force with the finance minister at its helm to find out exactly what would be the best route forward to address the economic crisis that is sure to beset the country as a result of this lockdown. Just yesterday, some regulatory and fiscal measures were announced. In addition, the government has asked all states to send funds to add money to the bank accounts of construction workers, one of the main constituents of the daily wage workers. But they are not the only ones, and we would have to wait and see how exactly the government is going to ensure that in the midst of a lockdown, officials can still make their way out and ensure that these daily wage workers and the poorest of the poor in the country are continuing to get meals and sustenance during this lockdown.
Thanks for that. Nimisha Jaiswal in Delhi.
Oh,
wow.
I did not know about the ones who were in a different state that are trying to get to their home state.
Yes,
Because-
that's massive. For example, in Calcutta, a huge number of the day earners that do everything from fixing shoes to rickshaw drivers, they're not city dwellers in Calcutta. They live in the surrounding rural areas, and what they do is they come in to the city, work, and then bring their earnings back, because they can make a lot more in a city like Calcutta, but there's no public transit right now. So, and there's not, even if there was public transit,
you probably shouldn't be on it.
Number one, they shouldn't be on it. Number two, even if they're in the city, there's nobody out there for them to rickshaw drive for or fix shoes or do anything for. Yeah. So these daily earners, I've actually reached out to several people because I want to support and talk about the organizations that are actually on the ground that you can give to, and the majority of your money is going to go to them.
Do you know?
Been doing some research. I've narrowed it down to like 3 or 4 from people we know there that we trust, who actually give to them and can verify.
Gotcha.
So I would say I started this 48 hours ago, and I'm confident like by tomorrow I should know pretty well which ones are good ones to support, that are actually, so that you know the money that you're giving to them is actually getting on the ground and those resources are getting to people. Because as you know, Corbin, after, like, for example, 9/11, there were a bunch of hoax organizations that popped up.
Yeah, you can't trust anybody.
You cannot trust people right now. If you've given to ones like, if St. Jude was coming up with something here in the States, I'd give to them instantly because I've been giving to them for years. I know what they do with their money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a huge issue for the daily wage earner.
One of the most shocking things was the empty streets, because once again, we're not there anymore. For those of you who still don't know,
we've been back home for over 2.5 weeks now.
No, just under 2 weeks.
No, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Under 2 weeks. Just under 2 weeks.
And so we went to Delhi and Mumbai to see those empty streets. Coming from there, where they were just full to the brim, and people leaving in and out, and there was one person on the road. What? That's insane. And I totally didn't realize that this. I guess it makes sense if the entire thing's locked down, that the states would be locked down themselves. And which is something obviously the United States has not done as of yet. It might be too late for that even, for the way New York is going right now. That's one of the things I'm wondering if they're going to do to New York. shut it down so people can't get out, basically.
Yeah, as far as crossing the borders and stuff. If I was a governor of a neighboring state, I would say you can't come in for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy how it's affecting the entire world, and that we like missed all the craziness by like days.
I was talking about that to Indrani the other day. Literally, if our trip had been 1 week different, we would, number one, we'd be in India still.
Yeah.
We'd be there we'd be stuck. And everything that we had wanted to do would have been canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great, and the fact that we got out of it and everybody was healthy. From our bellies to our lungs, and so that's great.
And if, one of the things, if you guys don't know this and you're not hearing about this, I'm sure you are, because stupid babies aren't stupid, ironically. But one of the most critical things about the stay-at-home order is this fact. So yes, I know the statistics. People who are my age, younger, Corbin's age, who have no underlying health conditions, you actually can get this virus and not even know you had it.
Yeah.
This thing is most dangerous for the elderly and the people with underlying health conditions. Now, that's not to minimize the risks of all people, but that's the reality. So for me, it's if you feel like you're a young person or you're a healthy person and you think I'm not at risk, please keep this in mind. You may not be at risk, but you could actually be carrying it, not know it, and give it to somebody else that it could kill. So that's the main reason everybody should social distance and stay away.
I think young people don't understand. Like, one, I think certain people are assuming that young people just can't get it. That's not
that's a lie.
Not what anybody's saying. Everyone can get it.
Everybody could get it.
They're saying the people most at risk of being a severe sickness are the people with underlying health conditions or immunocompromised. Like my wife, when she was younger, she was sick all the time, and so we're glad our baby is not like that. But she was sick all the time, and she's usually, if there's something going around, she'll get it. But there's like people that have like cancer, or the people that have like hardcore diabetes, or obviously elderly as well,
or asthma. There's millions of people with an underlying health condition.
And those are the people that it can affect worse. But
correct,
like everyone can get infected.
100%. It's like any flu virus. Anybody can get it, and they were saying here yesterday on our local news that I listened to that some of the doctors who work here in LA are pretty confident that this had gotten to LA as long ago as maybe late December.
Yeah.
But people thought they had the flu.
Yeah.
They didn't realize what they had was COVID-19. That's the main thing for the social distancing is obviously if you're elderly or have an underlying health condition, you're protecting yourself. But for everybody else, it's an act of love. You're protecting everybody else by not going out.
I was wondering why, California and Los Angeles are hit, and we do have numbers that are probably even greater than India. But in comparison to what New York is going through right now,
New York's the hub.
Yeah, I was wondering why that was so much different, because we're a huge city. But I think it's because, one, New York is much more cramped together, everybody, and also their transit systems. Since we have no transit system here.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, there's it's not a surprise that LA and New York are the hot spots right now because we're the international hubs.
Yeah.
And we are the international hub for Asia. They're the international hub for Europe.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely right. Manhattan is stacked. And their rapid transit system is on top of each other. And nobody drives around in cars over there. They get in taxis and Ubers, so they're constantly sharing cars. So if somebody had COVID-19 and got into a cab, anybody else who gets in that cab could have gotten it.
Yeah.
And we've seen the biggest spikes in Europe.
Like Italy,
so
they're all together. Transit system, same thing.
Exactly. So New York, it's a lot of Europeans, so it's not a surprise it's not surprising you're hearing it in New York and LA, and you're not hearing it in Montana and Arkansas.
Yeah.
There's a reason that's happening.
But stay safe, India. Stay safe, the entire.
Yeah, we love
wherever
you guys.
you are in the world. Obviously, this is affecting the entire globe like we've never seen before. And so, everybody, stay away from each other. Wash your hands and stop kissing people. Just don't kiss people.